The Holy One, blessed be He. Welcome to Beit Yisrael International's Voice of Torah podcast. I'm Gaddi Efrayim. Today, we'll dive into the inspiring teachings of Tikkun Brit Hadashah and their connection to Parsha Vayetzei, uncovering insights that bring us closer to understanding the divine plan and our spiritual journey. May this learning be a source of blessing for all. Today, we'll delve into the mystical vision of Jacob's ladder and its connection to the Tzaddik, righteous individual who bridges heaven and earth. Together, we'll explore how this vision echoes in the teachings of Jewish Yeshua HaTzaddik and how it relates to the Messianic mission for all humanity. In the mystical tradition of Chassidut, the ladder is often interpreted as the role of the Tzaddik, the righteous person who serves as a bridge between heaven and earth. This brings us to the profound identification of Jewish Yeshua as the ultimate Tzaddik. Jewish Yeshua HaTzaddik fulfills this role by bringing the light of Torah to the nations, uniting the spiritual aspirations of heaven with the practical realities of earth. His mission, as described in Isaiah, is to bring the knowledge of God to all humanity, ushering in an era of peace and divine unity. The sages explain that the ultimate purpose of the Tzaddik is to prepare the world for this redemption. Jewish Yeshua's identification with the ladder highlights his role as Mashiach ben Yosef, who paves the way for Mashiach ben David by bringing divine wisdom to the world and gathering the sparks of holiness scattered throughout creation. Thank you for joining us today on Beit Yisrael International's Voice of Torah podcast. As we reflect on Jacob's ladder and the role of the Tzaddik, may we be inspired to act as bridges in our own lives, connecting the spiritual and physical worlds through our actions, prayers, and devotion to Torah. Beit Yisrael International continues its heavenly mission to spread the light of Torah to the nations, drawing wisdom from the Tzaddik to guide us toward the Messianic era. Until next time, may we all climb our spiritual ladders and bring heaven closer to earth. Be blessed, and thank you.
All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tackling Jacob's ladder. You know, that powerful symbol from the Torah.
Yeah.
But we're going way beyond just angels on a staircase. We're going to really dig into some fascinating interpretations.
Okay.
So our source material, we've got excerpts from Tikkun Brit Hadashah Parashat Vayetzei. And the full title, it's a mouthful. The ladder links to a quality of Mashiach ben Yosef and prayer. And this text, it connects Jacob's ladder with some teachings from Beit Yisrael International.
Right.
And we've also got some pretty intriguing commentary from Gaddi Efrayim woven in, so.
It really is amazing how one single image, like Jacob's ladder, can, lead to such deep theological exploration. And what really jumps out at me is how this source material uses Jacob's ladder as like a springboard into the whole concept of Mashiach ben Yosef, the figure who, prepares the world for redemption.
Yeah, that's already got me curious.
Right.
I know that Mashiach ben Yosef is seen as this kind of precursor to the ultimate redemption. But what is it about him specifically that connects to Jacob's ladder?
Well, the source material really emphasizes how Mashiach ben Yosef embodies this bridge, this connection between like the material world and the spiritual realm.
Okay.
And he's actively working in the world, to bring about positive change. And it's much like the ladder itself, right?
Yeah.
It connects heaven and earth.
So it's not just a symbolic connection.
Right.
It's more like a reflection of how Mashiach ben Yosef actually operates in the world.
Exactly. He's not this distant, otherworldly figure. He's very much engaged in tikkun, the repair of the world.
Right. On
a personal and global scale.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that the source directly connects this whole concept of tikkun to the mission of Beit Yisrael International.
Okay, so what does that mean for how Beit Yisrael International approaches its work? Like, are they actively trying to manifest this tikkun, this idea of repair in a practical sense?
Absolutely, yeah. It's fascinating how they kind of weave these complex ideas into their actions.
It's about Jacob's ladder as a symbol of unity.
Right.
And not just in one way, but in two distinct forms.
You're absolutely right. The source introduces this idea of upper unity and lower unity.
Okay.
Both symbolized by Jacob's ladder. So upper unity, that refers to our connection with God.
Yeah.
That inherent desire for oneness with the divine.
Okay.
That's represented by the ladder reaching towards heaven.
That makes sense, yeah. So what about lower unity? What aspect of Jacob's ladder represents that?
Well, the source points to the stones that Jacob used as a pillow.
Oh, right.
In the biblical account. These stones, they unite under his head, right?
Yeah.
They symbolize the unity of Israel, and by extension, the unity of all humanity.
Okay.
So it's a reminder that our connection with the divine is really intrinsically linked to our connection with each other.
So it's not just about climbing our own individual ladders, but recognizing that we're all kind of part of a larger tapestry,
Yes.
all interconnected on this journey.
Precisely. And what's remarkable is how Beit Yisrael International seems to embrace both of these forms of unity in their mission.
Yeah.
They emphasize not just individual spiritual growth, but also the importance of building bridges between people. Fostering understanding and collaboration across different communities.
It's inspiring to see how they're taking this ancient symbol and they're translating it into like a blueprint for building a more connected world.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, I know that there's one more aspect of Jacob's ladder that the source tackles. And it might raise some eyebrows, especially for those who are familiar with a more common interpretation.
Right. You're talking about their identification of Yeshua with the ladder.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a point that requires, careful consideration.
For sure.
And explanation.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that the source is presenting a Jewish understanding of Yeshua as a Tzaddik, a righteous person who acts as a bridge between humanity and God.
Right. So we're not talking about the same interpretation that you might find in, say, a Christian context.
Exactly. This is specifically a Jewish perspective.
Okay.
Viewing Yeshua as a figure who really embodies the qualities of connection and unity symbolized by Jacob's ladder.
Okay.
And what's crucial to understand is that this interpretation of Yeshua as a tzaddik, it's fundamental to Beit Yisrael International's teachings.
It's amazing how this deep dive is bringing together such a diverse range of perspectives, like Torah, Hasidic teachings, and even this unique interpretation of Yeshua.
It's a lot to unpack.
I'm really curious to see where else this exploration takes us.
Well, hold on tight, because we still have a lot more to uncover.
Okay.
Next, we're going to be delving into how the source connects Jacob's ladder with the process of spiritual growth and the concept of a Messianic vision of unity. And trust me, it only gets more fascinating from here. Welcome back. It's really remarkable how much we've uncovered already, just in exploring Jacob's ladder.
I know, right?
Like from the connection to Mashiach ben Yosef to that fascinating interpretation of prayer as this form of ascent.
Yeah, and what's really sticking with me is how Beit Yisrael International is taking these complex symbolic ideas and translating them into an actual concrete action plan.
Yeah, you've hit on a key point. Remember we talked about Tikkun, the repair of the world, being so central to their mission?
Yeah.
Well, their approach to prayer and to community building really reflects this commitment.
Okay, I'm curious to hear more about that. How does their understanding of prayer as this ladder, as Rabbi Nachman taught, translate into their practical approach?
Well, they seem to really emphasize the transformative power of prayer.
Okay.
Not just as a means of personal connection with the divine, but as an actual force for positive change in the world. They create spaces for individuals to engage in different forms of prayer.
Oh, right.
From contemplative practices to communal gatherings, recognizing that each type of prayer might connect us to different aspects of the divine and inspire us to actually act in accordance with those higher principles.
So it's not just about what happens internally during prayer, but how that experience then ripples outwards.
Exactly.
Influencing our actions and interactions in the world.
Precisely. And their approach to community building also follows a similar thread.
Okay.
Remember that concept of lower unity, symbolized by the stones united under Jacob's head.
Right.
They're actively working to foster that unity by actually building bridges between diverse communities.
Okay.
Creating opportunities for dialogue and promoting understanding across all these differences.
It's like they're literally weaving those stones together.
Yes.
Creating a foundation for a more harmonious society. I'm sensing a real commitment to action here, to move beyond just the theoretical and really embody these principles in tangible ways.
Yeah, you're right on. And what's so striking is how they draw on such a rich tapestry of sources to inform their actions. We see, the influence of the Torah, Hasidic teachings.
Yeah.
Rabbi Shraga Simmons' emphasis on persistence and spiritual growth. Even Gaddi Efrayim's insights.
Right.
All kind of woven together to create this really comprehensive approach to Tikkun.
Speaking of Rabbi Shraga Simmons, I'm really intrigued by how the source connects Jacob's ladder to this idea of spiritual growth as a gradual process of ascent.
Right.
It feels very relatable, this idea of climbing rung by rung, facing setbacks and kind of just persisting despite those challenges.
Yeah, it's a powerful metaphor. Rabbi Simmons emphasizes that true spiritual growth, it's not about reaching some, instantaneous state of enlightenment.
Right.
It's about embracing the journey and recognizing that those setbacks and challenges are an inherent part of the process.
It makes me think of those times when we feel like we've taken a step back or even like fallen off the ladder completely.
Right.
But the key, as Rabbi Simmons seems to suggest, is to just keep climbing, to view those setbacks as opportunities for learning and growth.
And what's so inspiring about Beit Yisrael International is that they seem to create this really supportive environment for that journey. They offer guidance and resources for individuals at different stages of their spiritual development, recognizing that each person's climb is unique.
Right.
And requires different forms of support.
It's a beautiful reminder that we're not alone on this journey.
No, not at all.
We have each other.
We do.
And we have these ancient teachings to kind of guide us.
Yeah.
But the source doesn't just stop at individual spiritual growth, right?
Really?
It goes even further, and it paints this picture of a Messianic vision of unity where the gap between the physical and spiritual is just like completely bridged.
You're exactly right. The source connects Jacob's ladder to prophecies from Isaiah and Zechariah.
Yeah.
Envisioning a world that's just filled with divine knowledge, where humanity is unified in its connection with God and with each other. It's a truly inspiring vision, I think, a glimpse of what's possible when we fully embrace the principles that are embodied by Jacob's ladder.
And what I find so striking is that Beit Yisrael International, they seem to view this vision not as some far-off utopia,
Right.
but as a goal to actively work towards.
Yeah.
Their efforts to promote Tikkun, to build bridges between communities, to foster spiritual growth. It all seems to be directed towards manifesting this Messianic vision in the here and now.
You got it. Their approach is a powerful reminder that we're not just passive recipients of this vision.
Yeah.
We have an active role to play in bringing it about.
Yeah.
And I think that's really where the true significance of Jacob's ladder lies. It's not just a symbol of what could be, but it's like a blueprint for what we can create together through our actions, our intentions, and our commitment to building a more connected and harmonious world.
Wow. As we're wrapping up this deep dive into Jacob's ladder, I'm struck by how much more there is to this symbol than I ever, initially thought. Right. It's not just this static image. It's like this dynamic representation of our journey toward connection and growth and unity.
I completely agree. What really resonates with me is how much this whole deep dive has really highlighted the active nature of that journey.
Yeah.
We're not just, passively waiting for some kind of divine intervention or something.
Right.
Like, we have a responsibility to build that ladder, rung by rung, through our own efforts and intentions.
And what's so inspiring is that we're not doing it alone. Like, Beit Yisrael International, their approach really shows this idea of collective effort. They're creating spaces and resources to support individuals on their spiritual journeys, while also working to bridge those divides and foster unity on a broader societal level.
Their commitment to tikkun, to actively repairing the world, it's a really powerful reminder that our spiritual growth is it's inextricably linked to the well-being of others and the world around us. It's not enough to just focus on our own ascent.
Right.
We have this responsibility to help others climb too.
This makes me think of that image from the text, like the angels ascending and descending Jacob's ladder.
Yeah.
It's this constant movement, like a flow of energy between heaven and earth, reminding us that we're all interconnected and that our actions really do have ripple effects far beyond just ourselves.
It really is a beautiful metaphor for the interconnectedness of all things.
It is.
Every act of kindness, every step we take towards greater understanding and compassion, it all contributes to that collective ascent, bringing us closer to that Messianic vision of unity.
Speaking of the Messianic vision, I'm curious to get your take on how realistic you think it is to achieve that level of unity and connection. Is it just this, beautiful ideal? Or do you actually believe that it's something humanity can attain?
That's a really profound question.
Yeah.
While it's true that we face, these immense challenges as a species, from conflict and division to, environmental degradation, I really do believe that the vision presented by Jacob's ladder offers a roadmap to a better future.
Yeah.
It reminds us that
Beit Yisrael International, they emphasize that Mashiach ben Yosef is he's like the foundation builder.
a foundation builder. Interesting.
He's working to unify the whole world under God.
So he's like setting the stage for this more unified, peaceful world.
Exactly, yeah. And here's where the ladder imagery gets really powerful,
How so?
It's not like Mashiach ben Yosef is building a metaphorical foundation. He's building the actual ladder that lets us all climb toward that unity.
Wow, so he's literally building the pathway.
Yeah.
But how does someone actually do that, build that kind of ladder? What are the qualities or tools they need?
Well, that's where the idea of the Tzaddik comes in.
Tzaddik.
It's Hebrew for righteous one.
Oh, okay.
And in Jewish mysticism, a tzaddik, well, they're someone who channels divine energy into the world.
So they're not just holy people. They're actively trying to fix things.
Right. They're repairing the brokenness. Yeah.
So in a way, they're like living, breathing Jacob's ladders.
In a way, yeah. They're facilitating that flow of divine, light and wisdom down to earth.
That's a pretty amazing concept. But okay, this is where it gets really interesting.
What's that?
Because, Yeshua, he's actually seen as a tzaddik in this tradition.
Yeah.
Wait, so he's both the ladder and a tzaddik.
It might sound like a lot, but
Where does that idea even come from? Oh, really?
there's a passage where Yeshua, he calls himself the ladder that angels ascend and descend on, just like in Jacob's dream.
Wow.
It suggests that he's not just like a prophet or teacher. He's like the embodiment of that connection between heaven and earth.
Okay, hold on. Slow down for a sec. My brain's trying to catch up.
Sorry?
So we've got these two messiahs. One who, gets things ready for redemption.
Right.
And then the tzaddik, this righteous person channeling divine energy. And Yeshua is, both the tzaddik and the ladder itself.
It might sound kind of complicated, but there's this beautiful symmetry to it all.
Okay, explain it to me.
Think of it this way. So Mashiach ben Yosef, he lays down the foundation for unity. The tzaddik, they embody that unity by channeling the divine energy.
Okay.
And then Yeshua, being both the tzaddik and the ladder, he shows us how to get to that ultimate goal.
So it's not just, passively waiting around for redemption. It's about actually doing something, becoming those living ladders ourselves.
That's a great way to put it.
And that brings us to another key concept. Tikkun olam.
Which
literally translates to repairing the world.
Repairing the world. Wow.
It's a major idea in Jewish mysticism, and it's really closely tied to the whole Jacob's ladder symbolism.
Makes sense.
I think we need to give our listeners a minute to catch up here.
Yeah, we've covered a lot.
We have. But it's so important to see how all these ideas connect,
Yeah, it all builds on each other.
They come together to create this deeper understanding of what Jacob's ladder is all about.
Absolutely.
And when we come back, we'll dive even further into this concept of Tikkun Olam, and we'll explore how it's connected to Jacob's ladder and the role of the tzaddik. So stay tuned.
Can't wait.
Welcome back.
Back again.
I don't know about you, but I feel like my brain is doing some serious ladder climbing, just trying to keep up with all of this.
It's a lot, yeah.
It is, but it's exciting too.
It is.
Before the break, we were just getting into Tikkun Olam,
Right.
which you said means repairing the world.
Yeah, repairing the world. That's a big task.
It is a pretty big job.
Where do you even start?
That's what I'm wondering. Where do we even begin?
Well, remember those angels going up and down Jacob's ladder in the dream?
Yeah.
In Jewish mysticism, angels are often seen as these, messengers.
Okay.
They carry divine wisdom and energy.
So the ladder isn't just a symbol of connection. It's also a way for this divine energy to actually enter the world.
Exactly. And that energy is what fuels the work of Tikkun Olam. It's what empowers us to, heal the brokenness.
The brokenness, right. The brokenness we see around us and even within ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so where does the tzaddik fit into all this? We talked about them being these conduits of divine energy. Are they the ones actually doing the repairing?
It's not quite that simple. The tzaddik, they don't single-handedly fix everything. Right. They're more like catalysts,
Okay.
Guides.
Guides.
By channeling that divine energy, they're showing us the path towards Tikkun.
Showing the way.
Yeah. Helping others to see the brokenness and inspiring them to get involved in the healing process.
So they're kind of like spiritual electricians, maybe?
Spiritual electricians.
Rewiring the world with this divine energy.
I like that.
It's not about forcing change, but about helping it along.
Right.
Awakening this potential for healing that's already there inside each of us.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
And if Yeshua is seen as both a tzaddik and the ladder itself, does that mean he's like a key player in Tikkun Olam too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
A lot of people interpret his teachings and actions through this lens of Tikkun Olam.
Right.
Like, he told us to love our enemies, to care for the poor and sick, to stand up against injustice.
To challenge those systems.
Yeah.
All things that contribute to repairing the world. Which makes me think back to the connection we were talking about before between Yeshua's name and the Hebrew word for peace, shalom.
Right.
If he's actively working towards Tikkun Olam, is that ultimately what he's trying to achieve? A state of shalom.
It's a profound connection. Shalom isn't just like the absence of conflict, you know?
Right, it's deeper than that.
It's wholeness, harmony.
Everything in its right place.
Yeah, and that's what Tikkun Olam is all about, restoring that.
So climbing Jacob's ladder, it's not just about getting to heaven. It's about making a little piece of heaven right here on earth.
That's a really beautiful way to think about it.
It's like recognizing that the divine isn't separate from the world. It's part of everything.
Yeah, it's woven into creation itself.
And by taking part in Tikkun Olam, we're aligning ourselves with that divine energy.
Right.
Becoming partners and bringing wholeness and harmony back to the world.
I love that.
This is starting to feel really personal, actually. It's not just some like abstract idea about fixing the world. It's about how we show up in our own lives, in our relationships.
It starts with us.
In our communities.
Exactly.
Tikkun Olam, it begins with our own transformation.
What is our transformation?
Yeah, the work we do on ourselves. As we heal those broken parts of ourselves, we're less likely to like project that onto others.
Right.
And we're able to offer more genuine compassion, more understanding.
Makes sense.
So working on ourselves, becoming more compassionate, more forgiving, more understanding, that's all part of Tikkun Olam too.
It's essential, yeah.
It's like clearing out our own rung on that ladder so we can keep climbing.
I love that. Keep climbing, yeah.
The more we heal our own wounds, the more we can help heal the world around us. So to you listening, what resonates with you most about these concepts? What step will you take today to begin your climb? How will you build your own bridge between your aspirations and the divine?
Think about it.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you then.